Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Now, it's been a long time since I've done a Q&A get ready with me style video. So I asked you guys in the community tab, why is it so hard to say that word? There's too many syllables. I asked you guys in the community tab and on my Instagram stories to ask me any questions that you wanted answered here on my channel in a makeup tutorial. Now here I am to paint this clown and answer your guys' questions. So let's go ahead and get started with foundation. And I'm gonna use the MAC Studio Fix. This is in the shade NW18, and I'm going to apply that with the Bare Minerals Precision Face Brush, which I haven't used in a long time. I actually really like this foundation brush. I've used it in several of my videos, but I think it's been a while back. I typically use this brush with a powder foundation, obviously the Bare Minerals Original Loose Powder Foundation, and then also the Studio Fix. I like it for both. But to get into the questions, Shrinking Violets asked, if you could only do your hair or makeup ever again, which would you choose? Obviously, we're going with makeup on that one. I don't do shit to my hair. I mean, I did make it really fancy for you guys here today. We put it in a little side pony with a scrunchie. But no, seriously, I hate doing my hair. That's what's great about long hair and having long hair that has some texture to it. My hair definitely has some wave to it. And in the summertime, it's actually better because the humidity that we have here in Northeast Ohio, it really makes my hair more curly, where the rest of the year, it's got some wave to it. It's got some texture, but it's a little bit more of that limp kind of wave where when the humidity gets to it, it gets definitely curly. I mean, I do hair all day for work. So the last thing that I ever want to do is my own hair. So, but I love putting on makeup. It's, it's therapeutic. I feel like a lot of people would say that. It's just, time when you get to sit down in front of a mirror, and just paint for a couple of hours. You know what I mean? They also asked, how did you get into doing hair? Were there any other careers you were interested in? I'm going to go in with the MAC Studio Finish Concealer underneath my eyes to kind of cancel out all that darkness down there. And this is in the shade NW20. But to answer the question, it was almost an accident. I had thought about it a little bit in high school, but just, I guess, not serious enough to actually sign up for the class. So I ended up doing it later. But no, a school had just opened right down the street from where I was living. I didn't have the money to go to school, but I figured I'd go check it out anyway. This was on a Friday. I went down. They took me on a tour of the school. They had me fill out some paperwork to see if I qualified for any kind of scholarships or grants or anything like that, because I think it was going to be several $1,000s to go to beauty school. And after I filled out the paperwork and they made some phone calls, they said, well, you don't actually have to pay anything to go to school. You don't have to pay anything back. New classes start on Tuesday. Do you want to go to school? And I was like, well, I'm off work on Tuesday, so sure, I'll come to school. And that's really what happened. I just kind of stumbled upon it. I started going to school. I was able to go for free, and free school, that's cool. And it was in the beauty industry, which I was always interested in. So I was like, fuck yeah, I'm down. And then the other part of the question is, are there any other careers that you were interested in? And yeah, actually, when I was like probably middle school age and then all through high school, I really had this dream that I was going to go to California and I was going to do special effects makeup for horror movies. I really, really idolized Tom Savini when I was a kid.
So we built this thing. We tested it over and over and over again with water, for the bleeding. But the idea of somebody getting hit and then sliding down the blade, what a payoff. They were screaming their lungs off. Notoriety came, I assume, with the subject matter. If I said I was proud of doing the slasher movies, there would be people who would say, how dare you, and all that. But I am. My job is to take what they write down and create it, make it happen believably, on the screen. So, I think I do my job well.
And I just, I was into horror movies growing up. It was horror movies and hair metal. That's all I cared about as a kid. And, not really much has changed. So, but no, I really wanted to go to makeup effects school and learn how to do all of that kind of stuff. And then, I graduated high school. You have to get a job. And at some point, some of us just kind of get stuck or complacent where you are doing what you're doing. And, I just never ended up going out there to do that. And honestly, I'm glad that I didn't do it it because it kind of seemed to be around that time, like 97 when I was graduating high school, that, horror movies weren't popular at all anymore. The 90s was like a complete drought for horror. Everything seemed to be more like computer animated effects, creatures that were more like puppets, which that always existed. But again, probably more the computer animation style stuff started to become really popular. And the movies that were coming out weren't the kind of movies that I was interested in seeing anyway. So I didn't end up doing that. I ended up staying in Ohio, going to beauty school, and doing hair. I've been doing hair now for over 20 years, so it's been a while. Madcap Mandy asks, are you visiting California once the world is any sort of normal again? Asking for a friend. Bitch, I can't wait to get out there. But honestly, I feel like it's gonna be a long time before anything is even remotely close to normal. I mean, I think the way things are right now is gonna be pretty normal for at least 2 years. I really see it taking that long, so. And who knows, we'll see, maybe, but I'm not being really optimistic about it, honestly. And so I think I'm just gonna hang out here, save some money, pay some shit off. I'm gonna have my car paid off in less than a year at this point. So that's going to be some more expendable income that I'll have coming in. And, we'll see what's going on then. Foliage X Mark, I hope I said that right. Foliage X Mark asks, who is your favorite rock band? I mean, it's definitely between two. We all know this. It's really hard to just pick a top number one, because growing up, I mean, my very first childhood memories are the band Kiss. That is the first thing that I was ever in love with. My very first memories are Kiss. They started all of this for me. I think that everything needs to be the whole package. I want you to assault all of my senses at once, and they really do that. And so I just look at all of my entertainment that way. I mean, music, movies, TV shows, the way that I dress, accessories, the way that I like to decorate, all of that. I think that it all just comes right back to Kiss because everything was just so exciting and so fun. You know what I mean? So aside from Kiss, my other one, everybody knows that Pretty Boy Floyd is a fucking obsession for me. They were a band that I saw for the first time in a magazine when their album came out. I think it was probably in Metal Edge magazine or something. But the advertisement was the cover art for Leather Boys with Electric Toys. And for me, looking at that picture, it gave me the exact same feeling that I get looking at Kiss. It was just like, over the top, and it was like this awesome, like painted image, and they just looked larger than life. Literally, they're just like monsters, like over top of the city, But I remember seeing that for the very first time and just thinking, oh my God, I need to have this. And I never ended up getting that album until, it must have been hard to find or something, or I just never came across it because I remember being very interested in it, and never seeing it at a store. But a few years later, when I was in high school, actually, like early, maybe like 10th, 11th grade or something, I came across that cassette, but then I remember listening to it for the first time and just being like, oh my God, this is everything that I hoped it would be and more. It is hands down the best hair metal album of all time. There's just nothing that beats that. But that first album and that classic lineup, you just cannot beat that. If I had to pick one, I guess it depends on how you look at it. Leather Boys with Electric Toys is my favorite album of all time. I like it better than any Kiss album. If I could only listen to one album for the rest of my life, I don't even have to think about it. It's Pretty Boy Floyd. But again, that's pretty much all they have. Where if you look at Kiss, they were my first love. They were my first memories. They have like 40 fucking albums to choose from. You've got 70s era. You've got 80s era. They had such a long, great career. And I mean, they're so influential, and they are the biggest influence on my life. So I am going to go with Kiss because, again, they were first. They were my first love. So I'm going to have to go with Kiss. Kiss is my favorite rock band. So as I was about to paint on my eyebrows, I discovered that my MAC Shape and Shade Brow Tint is completely dried up. I use this thing all the way down to nothing. So I'm gonna have to buy a new one of those. So what I did instead is I went in with the shade Mushroom here by Give Me Glow Cosmetics. It's a matte eyeshadow, and I use this Anastasia, I believe this is the number 12 brush, and I just kind of dipped into that, created some hair strokes, and since this is a powder, I'm probably gonna have to go back in after my eyeshadow look and reinforce my brows with more strokes because I'm really oily and they will kind of start to get really shiny and kind of fade a little bit, but I'll worry about that later. I am going to go in and contour my nose with This Is Naked by Urban Decay. That is from the first Naked palette, and I take that on a Sigma Blending E25 brush, and I'm just going to lightly and kind of naturally contour my nose. Levon88 asks, if the Jasons, Kiss, and Pretty Boy Floyd were all in a match till the death, who would win? Now, I've just recently discovered the Jasons, probably in the last year, but I really only started listening to them probably about a month or two ago. And even though the Jasons are pretty much everything I love in music, it's almost like a band was created for me. It's like bubblegum punk rock or pop punk, if you want to call it that, with a Friday the 13th image. I mean, these guys wear Jason masks and they sing songs about characters from Friday the 13th movies. Their music is super fun and catchy and bubblegum and pop, and I'm such a huge fan.
Yo, Hollywood, don't forget that lead. Yeah, I got this. 1, 2, fuck you. Do the dead fun. Do the dead fun. Not bad, what do you think? You gotta do the dead fun. I think they look like a bunch of whips. You gotta do the dead fun. Shake your fucking ass.
But since I recently discovered them, they just haven't been in my life long enough to be at the top of the food chain, you know what I mean? So I'm kicking them out right away. Sorry, guys. And so again, now that we're down to Kiss and Pretty Boy Floyd, I think I'm gonna have to go with my same choice there based on everything that I presented to you about both bands before. So I am definitely going with Kiss on that one as well. And then the last music question comes from John A. Curtis. Do you have any cool stories about Tracy Michaels, and did you see Heartthrob Mob live? And for most of you that probably don't know who he is, Tracy Michaels was a drummer, and he was in a lot of bands on the LA Sunset Strip scene in the early to mid 90s. And I mean, he was there until he died. And this has been, God, it's been over 10 years. Has it been like 13 years now? It's been a long time since Tracy died. But this dude was glam as fuck. He was such a nice guy. He was so friendly. He was so outgoing.
What's up, dude? We're back.
He was so fun. But as far as cool stories go, I would say probably my favorite time was they had come to Sandusky, Ohio. Actually, it was basically the Peppermint Creeps were the backing band for Pretty Boy Floyd. It was like the Peppermint Creeps, but they had Steve Summers on vocals, and they were doing Pretty Boy Floyd songs. It was the weirdest kind of mashup. It was really interesting, but it was really cool. And so once their show was over, and then later on, after they kind of started kicking people out because, you know, the club was closing or whatever, there was a guy that was there that had invited a bunch of us to some bar. None of us realizing that this dude was taking us to a biker bar. And again, if you don't know who Tracy Michaels is, I will definitely insert some photos, videos, some sort of something on the screen here for you. But imagine that, and then me and some of our other friends walking into a biker bar, and Tracy's got his makeup on and his hair's all teased. He was wearing a mini skirt. We walk into this biker bar, and it was almost just like the scene in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It was like the record skipped, everybody turned around, And it was actually quite terrifying for all of us because we're all like, oh fuck, we're like in the wrong place, you know? But the guy who had invited us there was like, no, it's cool, they're with me, whatever. And then Tracy, being the guy that he is, he had this charm and this way of just making everybody really like him. And then before you knew it, it was like people were buying us drinks and everybody was really cool and everybody was really friendly. They had given Tracy a t-shirt and they were like, come back anytime you guys want. And then a few years later, after he died, I got a package in the mail and wasn't expecting it at all, but it was that t-shirt that they had given him at the bar that night that we hung out. And it was just really, really cool. And I still have that t-shirt. I will never get rid of it. But as far as did I see Heartthrob Mob live? Yes, I did. The very first memorial show that they did after Tracy died, that first summer, Heartthrob Mob actually played. But I think that all 4 songs that they played at that show that night are on YouTube. The person right behind me and my friend were filming the entire show. And so there'll be some big poofy red hair and then some big poofy green hair in the crowd. And I'm the guy with the green hair. And so, yeah, I did get to see Heartthrob Mob. Paul Delta asked, what is your favorite pre-made rainbow palette and neutral palette? No singles, a pre-made palette. I would say my favorite rainbow palette is the James Charles, is that his name? Yeah. James Charles palette from Morphe. I really like this. It's actually been a while since I've used it and I'm gonna use it today. I'm gonna start out with this shade right here called Brother. This is almost like a deeper kind of periwinkle color. I'm not sure that I've ever used this in an eyeshadow look, but I'm choosing this one because aside from my self-made palette made out of Inglot singles, I think this is the only rainbow palette I even have, so it wins by default actually. But no, I do really like this palette a lot. I actually really like the Morphe eyeshadow formula. I know that it gets a lot of crap. I know that their brushes get a lot of crap, but honestly, I think their products are just as good as anything else out there on the market. I can't believe I'm using blue eyeshadow right now. Who the hell am I? I feel like I'm pretty predictable in my makeup choices most of the time, both in shades that I use and application methods. You find that thing that you like and you kind of stick with it. So today I am gonna go outside of my comfort zone with my colors and we'll see what ends up happening with the application method. I don't think we're gonna get any kind of like crazy cut crease action or anything in there, but who the hell knows? This palette just really does have everything that somebody would need to create pretty much any eye look that you would want to do. So if you don't have a large eyeshadow collection and you really want to create any kind of look, I'd say go ahead and pick it up. I think that the quality of it's really good too. So then I'm gonna blend out all of those edges and also smoke this down underneath my lower lash line. And you know what I'm gonna do there? We're gonna really raccoon things out. Sorry about that loud ass air conditioner. It was getting so hot in here. I'm actually still sweating. But now I'm gonna go into the shade Spooky, which is the black shade in this palette, which I don't think I've ever used yet. I'm gonna really tap off the excess out of this brush because the last thing I need is some black eyeshadow fallout because that shit is a bitch to clean up. And then to answer the second part of that question, what is my favorite neutral palette? So you'll probably be really surprised by this part of my answer because it's kind of a two-parter. But when I look at every neutral palette out there, the one that really does it for me as far as the color story goes actually is the Sultry palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. Now, if you've been here for longer than a second, you'll know that I think that the Anastasia eyeshadow formula sucks a giant bag of dicks. It sucks all the dicks, actually. I just think that their eyeshadows are so overrated. They're so hyped. And I get it. I've fallen for it time and time again. I always end up buying their eyeshadow palettes, and there's only been a few times that I've ever tried one, and I'm like, yeah, the color story's great, and the formula's great, too. The Jackie Aina palette, it's fucking awesome. Almost every shade in there is really good. The one, like, really, it's like a pale white with like a gold shift. Trust issues, is that what it's called? That one I find to be really problematic. It's like chunky, it's waxy, it's a completely different formula than everything else in that palette, and it's probably the prettiest color in that palette, but it doesn't work at all. I wish that the formula on that one was different, but everything else in that palette is great. But again, I'm getting sidetracked here. The Sultry palette, as far as the color story goes, it's fucking great, but I just can't really use it because the formula sucks, you know? But as far as usability goes, my favorite neutral palette that I can use, and I love it, the color story is like right on for me, the formula is really good for the most part, is the Androgyny palette by Jeffree Star Cosmetics. Problematic as he is, I feel like he's been canceled all over the place, and again, it is what it is, but as far as my favorite neutral palette that I can wear and that I love to wear, definitely Androgyny by Jeffree Star. I'm actually gonna leave the edge of this black slightly just unblended. I would just rather leave a little bit more of a harsh edge on the black than to smoke it out too much and have the black take over. If the edges are a little bit more harsh in real life, people aren't gonna see that as much as when you post like a still photo of it, you can see where it's more unblended. But I'm just not gonna blend that out to where I normally would. Courtney Ann asks, what's your best tip for making eyes look bigger or more awake? Botox. 100% Botox. That is going to make your eyes bigger and more awake for sure. When you get it injected into like the eyebrow area, I like to get a lot of it in this area here and underneath my brow, in the middle and on the edges here, because it lifts that muscle, and so your eyes automatically just look more open, more awake. That's probably not the answer you were looking for at all. Dark-haired Claire wants to know my top 5 must-have high-end products. The very first one is a good shampoo and conditioner. Now, I have been in the hair industry for over 20 years now. You guys know that even my skincare routine, the products that I use there are very affordable. They're not luxury, they're not high-end, but they really do work and they really do the trick. I do not find the same to be true for shampoo and conditioner. I really am a big believer that you get what you pay for when it comes to what you are cleaning your hair with. And I have never used a shampoo that came from a grocery store or a drugstore that did anything besides dry the hair out, make the hair greasy, both at the same time. How does that work? I have been working with the Bumble and Bumble line for, God, probably about 10 years now. It's been a long time. They are definitely my favorite as far as hair goes. And as far as like recommending a shampoo and conditioner, that's all subjective to your hair texture, what you want your hair to do. So I couldn't necessarily recommend one shampoo conditioner set to everyone, but definitely look into that brand if you are looking to switch up your shampoo. But I will always have a good shampoo and conditioner in the shower, because if I didn't, there is no way in hell that I could have hair as long as mine is, and having been colored and bleached as many times as it has been over the years that I've been growing it, there's just no way that it would be attached to my head. And I know it looks like crazy and ratty and all fucked up now, but it's just dirty as fuck. And then number 2, now as far as like makeup brands go, you've got like High end, what I consider to be like mid-range would be like MAC, Urban Decay, something in there. High end, I guess would be considered like luxury makeup. And I don't spend my money on any like luxury makeup or luxury skincare or anything in that like obnoxious price range where it's like $75 for one product. I'm not that guy. So when I think of high end, I think of MAC, I think of Urban Decay, those kind of brands. So the number 2 thing for me would be the MAC Fast Response Eye Cream. I have spoken about this several times in my skincare video that I just posted a few weeks ago. I definitely used it in that video. I highly recommend it. And I've said this before too, I don't think that MAC skincare is great quality across the board. But when it comes to eye creams, that is the one that I will always go back to. So the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion in the shade Eden. For my skin tone, it's great because it really does cancel out and conceal everything on my eyelids and my lower lash line before I go in with eyeshadow. It's actually what I just used underneath this. I'm putting on the NYX glitter primer right now over top of the Eden primer. But again, I think that for my skin tone, it works really well. And I think it really does keep eyeshadow bulletproof, where even some of the other primers in the Urban Decay line I don't think work that well. I just stopped using the anti-aging one because that one was gross and it didn't keep eyeshadow from creasing, it didn't keep it from fading. It just really didn't work out for me. Now again, there is that thing where when you're wearing a mask and you have all of that steam from your breath coming up into your makeup, that's kind of fucking things up too. So it could have something to do with that as well, and maybe not necessarily the eyeshadow primer. But the whole time that I was using that one, I didn't really like it. But I always end up coming back to Eden. It works really well for me. Now again, I did use the NYX glitter primer on my eyelid as well. And that's because I'm going in with the shade Artistry, which I feel like needs a really sticky, tacky base in order for it to work. If you try to slap this on top of a regular eyeshadow primer, even the Urban Decay one, it just doesn't stick. It doesn't have really good payoff. You need a glitter primer with this particular shade. And I think I'm gonna do a little bit of palette hopping here. I'm gonna go into the Morphe. This is the 35M, the Boss Mood palette. I'm gonna go into this purple down here in the bottom row, and I am just going to put that right next to Artistry, just so I can get a little bit more deeper of a purple going on closer to the outer V where I have that black, and to give things a little bit more dimension even within the shimmer tones on the lid. I like to do that sometimes. And that one presses on pretty well, even over top of eyeshadow that was already in that area. So this one is really easy to work with. And I haven't dipped into this palette for quite a while. We are nearing Halloween season, so maybe you'll see a little bit more of this palette showing up from time to time because I really do like it. And God, when did this come out? A couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago? And it still works pretty well. And then I'm gonna go back into the James Charles palette into this shade Hello, which it looks like I've used it before, but I don't remember. I am going to hit that right here on the inner corner and have a blue shimmery pop right there, which is something that I never, ever do. Changing it up today. That's a pretty shade. And if you put a shade like this over top of a glitter primer, it really intensifies that shimmer effect as well. But we'll see how I like it without first, and then if I want to intensify it a little bit more, I can always layer a little bit more of this on top of a stickier base. And it did make it pop more. I went ahead and added a layer off camera, also turned off the air conditioning. Sorry, once again, it's really hot in here. And I know that shit is loud and annoying on camera, but sometimes you gotta let the air conditioning run. My next one on the list is going to be the Coffee Eyeliner by MAC. I love that one for the waterline. I use it with most eye looks. I'm not using it today. Today I am using the Shockwave Neon Liner by LA Girl Cosmetics. This is in the shade Electric. It's a nice bright electric blue, and I am going to hit the waterline with this. Most of these pencils are really fucking good actually for a cheap drugstore brand. I think these are $5 a piece, but the MAC Coffee pencil, it's like that perfect coffee colored waterline pencil. Of course, you can use eyeliner on your upper lash line, on your lower lash line. I don't typically wear eyeliner like that. For me, a pencil liner is always going to go on the waterline. But again, the tone of coffee, I feel like, is so perfect for any kind of neutral look that you want to do. Yeah, I don't think that I could ever do any kind of makeup without having a pencil on the waterline. I just think that it really ties everything together. Whether you're doing something kind of smoky, something that's going to be brighter to open up and to widen the eyes, or something like this is just going to give you like a pop of color on that waterline. And that's one of my favorite things to do, is to really get something obnoxious on there. Even if it's something like a yellow or an orange or a neon green, I think a really bright pop on the waterline is really fucking cool. And for highlighter, I'm going to switch it up a little bit, and I am going to use a glitter. This is a glitter from MAC. It is the Reflex Transparent Pink. This stuff, I wouldn't even call it a glitter as much as I would call it a really shimmery pigment. It does have glitter particles that kind of fly around, but it doesn't have like a glitter finish to it. It's more of like an extreme highlighter, but it's really fucking pretty as a highlighter. It's really pretty anywhere, actually. Look at that. Can you see that shift on camera? I don't know that you're gonna get the same effect as in real life, but it is pretty as fuck. Then the last of my 5 high-end items that I couldn't live without is anything from this line that smells like this. If this smell is involved, I want it all over my body. Now, their stuff is obnoxiously expensive. Like this Bum Bum Cream, I have had this for maybe 2 months, and I use it sparingly. I use it like once a week maybe, and I'm almost out of it already. And you don't need a lot of this. A little bit does go a long way, but still, I think it's like around $50 for something this size. And if you were to use it every day on your entire body, you would go through it in like 2 weeks, and that's just really fucking expensive. But they have totally got me suckered in. I will definitely spend obnoxious amounts of money on that scent. I want to smell like that all the time. It smells so fucking good. But now I'm going to go ahead and do my mascara off camera really quick. I've been at this for over 3 hours now, so I'm ready to wrap it up. So let me go do that really quick, and we'll come back for lips and the final question. Now, I might have gotten just a little bit carried away with that glitter, but you know what? It is almost midnight on a Friday night, and I'm not leaving my house, so fuck it. I will look like this tonight. I am gonna finish this look off with a liquid cat suit. This is a high shine lipstick from Wet n Wild. This is in the shade Jack-o'-lantern's Blood. I fucking love this color. It is so stripper. It is so like corally pink with a gold shimmer to it. The formula of it really just does feel like a actual traditional liquid lipstick. This is what liquid lipstick used to be before they kind of went matte, you know? But no, this is like a really balmy, not a gloss. It doesn't feel like a traditional lipstick. It doesn't at all feel like a lip gloss, but it is like a really high shine. It's exactly what it sounds like. But for me, I just really like the tone of this one. I don't wear it that often, but no, this one just, it feels great. it looks great depending on the look that you think is great. And for the last question, Lauren Gauchke, I probably completely butchered that and I'm really sorry if I did, asked, how many glitter products would you say you own? Love your videos. Well, thank you. I love you too. Thanks for watching my videos. As far as my glitter collection goes, I would say I probably have around 100 glitter products and the collection is always growing. I will definitely do an updated, maybe not an updated glitter video for my YouTube channel, but maybe like a quick sped up video for Instagram. I think that would be cool, especially with some of the new glitters that I've got in my collection that I didn't have when I filmed the last video. It would be cool to include those as well. But look for that soon, probably on my Instagram, I'll post that. I also have a couple other ideas of things that I want to post like video wise, things that I can do just like quick clips of and edit really quickly to post on my Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, definitely check me out over there. It hasn't been as makeup heavy lately, but I haven't been wearing as much, which is why tonight in doing this makeup, I just wanted to go outside of my comfort zone, throw on some blue eyeshadow, do something totally different than what I'm used to putting on my face. I actually had a lot of fun doing this look and I really like the way that it came out. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Do you like something that's a little bit more out of the box? Do you like something that's a little bit more kind of like natural and wearable? And if you do recreate this look, tag me in a picture or tag me in a video. I would love to see your work. But again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here and I'll see you guys on the next one.